Hi there, I'm Jill Allen, and this is Find Your Fierce, the show designed for women to discover your fierce, unlock an unstoppable mindset, build unbreakable courage, and completely transform how you show up every single day. Each week, I will bring ideas, methods, and strategies that will inspire you to step into your greatness and live life on purpose. Let's be fit, fierce, and unstoppable. Hey there, gang. Welcome to Find Your Fierce. So glad that you are here with me as we dive into a brand new episode. As always, I'm super excited about these next few minutes of our day, but even more so because we have a special guest with us, and she always brings the fire that you are needing to break through, become inspired, or maybe a little straight talk followed up with love that will kick you into action. But before we go any further today, I have to ask, are you needing a speaker for an upcoming event or conference? If so, I am your person. I would love to bring the Find Your Fierce message to your next function. To book your event, message me at jill@jillallencoaching.com. And I love that you are here listening in and spending time with us. So honored that we get to be a part of your day. You're just all so amazing. And I thank you for your love and support. And so I appreciate your feedback, your reviews, and I love that you share this podcast and the Set Free message with your friends and family. So if you could keep on doing that, that would be incredible, because you are helping this movement as it helps reach more women and it impacts more lives. And that is certainly what life is all about. So thank you again. Okay, so my friend Liz is back.
Hey.
A lot has been happening in her world of late, and all good and exciting things. I just love her perspective on life. So excited that she is with us. Liz, welcome back, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I love being here.
This is going to be good. Well, we were kind of brainstorming about what we could chat about. I know we usually don't have a problem talking. We had a plan for one thing, and then like this morning, just something popped into my heart that I thought maybe we can kind of dive into a little bit. And it was about self-image and what we portray and what we put out into the world, and how we're walking in truth.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes not truth. Sometimes we're walking in a bunch of lies as well.
Yeah.
But just that battle that we wrestle with day in, day out. What do you have on that?
Well, when you were saying, talking about truth, and sometimes we're not walking in truth and we're walking in lies and stuff like that, I think personally, I feel like a huge part of like a starting point is, I just kept hearing the term your truth. So even when you're walking in lies, it's actually acknowledging your truth. Like, I'm going to acknowledge that this is where I'm at and what I'm thinking. Like, this is what I'm believing about myself. And it has to start there. We have to get honest and real about where we're at, so that we can then, well, I always look at it from a faith perspective, being honest with the Lord about where I'm at, what I'm believing, how I feel, so that I can then weigh it against what the word says and what he says. So just having honest conversations with the Lord about where I'm at, and then it opens the door and this opportunity for him to reveal the real truth. So there's my truth, but my truth isn't always the truth, and it doesn't always line up with the truth. But we don't even acknowledge that our truth isn't the truth, or we don't recognize that until we acknowledge what our quote unquote, our truth is. So that was just one thing I thought of. It just starts there. It starts there. Get really real with the Lord, get really real in your prayer time and you're talking with him. And then, taking time to listen and let him speak the truth into you, but also weigh it against the word. What does the word say? Most of the time, our truth does not line up with what the word says the truth is. But again, if we're not honest about where we're at, I don't think we can really fully receive the truth, because we've not gotten the junk of our truth out. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes complete sense, because I think the thing of it is we're all walking around and with me, and how I feel and what I think and what my belief is and what, how I want to show up, without aligning it with, there's a confusion. We skip a part. We're walking around. And when I say we, the world, the world's walking around with their truth, be you, do you, it's all about you, accept me for who I am, all that good stuff. But we're not aligning it. That's the missing piece. We're not aligning that with the ultimate truth and allowing him to speak that into us.
Into that. Yeah. And what's beautiful about when we actually do is that's when we can begin to walk in all that he created us to be. Like, if you think about it, like God, he created us and he knows exactly what he put inside of us. He knows what he made us for. He knows who he made us to be and what he made us to do. But sometimes we're stuck. We never walk in the fullness of that. We never see the fullness of all that he made us to do and all that he made us to be, because we're stuck in this place of my truth and not evaluating it against his truth and what he says.
Using him as the standard.
Yeah. And I think if we can do that more, and I know it's a process, we're on a process, it's a life journey, it's a lifelong journey of constantly having relationship with the Lord. Like I'm here now. I'm honest about where I am here now. Let him reveal to me the truth and lead me in truth. And so it's just a lifelong process. But I think that's when we begin to see us walking more fully in our potential too. So,
wow, it's pretty darn good. I think the measuring, like it's hard. It's hard. It's so easy to just then fall back into what the world says. I mean, it's hard to align our truth up with him because of the noise, the distractions, what people are telling us how we should behave. I mean, you turn on social media. I mean, what we should be watching, all the number one hits out there, how we should look, how we should talk, what we should be reading. All that stuff is out there. So of course there's this utter confusion and battle that we go through, because the majority of what we see and what we have right in front of us is not necessarily his word. I mean, and again, we can change that, and alter what we listen to or what we see and what we watch and what we put in front of our eyes. But at the same time, we're in this world.
Yeah. And to be part of it. Another term I just keep thinking of is like the fake it till you make it. I'm sure everybody has heard that. I know I have, especially when it came to like being in sales and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. They say, fake it till you make it, like pretend like you do until you get there. And I think so many times we can take that approach in our own life too. We hear the things that we should do or say or think or believe or how we should feel and all that. And we live life trying to fake it till we make it. But then we've lost the authentic piece, the authenticity. Whereas if we get, again, real with ourselves and real with God, he can begin to transform that. And then we're no longer faking it till we make it. We actually become, what is the saying is, become what you behold. As we are honest about where we're at and we behold him, like we lay out before where we're at in our truth. And then we fix our eyes on him and his truth. We then begin to become what we are beholding. So we're no longer faking it till we make it. This is our real, authentic, true self.
As we're being molded and transformed.
Exactly.
It's crazy when you mentioned the word authentic. I was at the church women's group last week, and we had these questions that we had to answer. And we drew quadrants on the piece of paper, and everybody was asked the question. And then we all responded on that piece of paper, no one knowing what anybody else was saying. And one of the questions was, what is it that you want to get out of this group or church or, this time together? And every single person wrote down connection, truth, and authentic relationships. And it was so, just to know that I think there were 8 women at the table.
Yeah.
Of how much we're needing that realness, that authentic piece of it. And so that just tells you how many people are walking around, projecting an image, projecting that everything is all, great. And we're struggling, wrestling in our closet or a battle within our mind of every single moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. That speaks volumes of what people are looking for and needing. And we're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like these lost souls, trying to pretend to be something that maybe we're not.
Yeah. And we're trying to fake it till we make it.
And that's exactly
what we feel
happening.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. That's so cool. I agree. I think that we're kind of in a generation of starving for authenticity. Mm-hmm. Just the real, because then we start to think, we see what somebody else is projecting and we're like, oh man, I'm not internally we have these mind games of I'm not there, I'm not as good as them, so there must be something wrong with me. When the reality is they're probably wrestling with the same thing.
Yeah.
Like we're competing and comparing each other to each other's highlight reel is what they call it.
Yeah.
But we're all like thinking and feeling the same thing. Now, does that mean like you're just constantly airing your dirty laundry? No, not at all. It's just there's a fine line between that and then just being authentic with yourself, maybe with your close circle on just the internal dialogue or struggle, or like, man, I'm really questioning this, or I'm wrestling with this, or I really feel like this right now. Is it truth or is it not truth? I don't know, but this is really how it is. And then creating space for that to be transformed and for him to change how we feel, honestly.
Yeah. I think that's what needs to be aligned, because then everything else flows from that place and the way that we show up. And so, naturally that would be authentic. If we're lined up with his word and what he says about us and, what our next step should be and he guides us. I mean, everything then will flow from that. And ultimately you will be showing up the way that he created you. So
yeah, you really become that. It's good.
So what kind of things do you think that we can do to help someone that's wrestling with, I just think back of where I was even 5-6 years ago, where I was projecting that I have it all, and I do. That's where my heart is. I feel that I have it all, even on my bad days. Life is good. But when you have that striving and that pushing and, you're chasing, whatever that dream is or what the world describes as success.
Yeah.
We had the family and, a great marriage and a home and career, all that good stuff. But yet in my heart, I was drowning, but still showing up in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, man, this is great. And I felt like almost, I don't want to say fake. I felt, hypocritical, or that there was that hypocrisy in that of, not that I wasn't having genuine relationships and pieces like that, but my heart was
dying a little bit.
Yeah, that was off. And I think there's so many out there that their life is great.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at it and you put it down on paper, you can have a gratitude journal, you can write everything down. But if there's that missing piece, I don't know.
Well, that reminds me, there's this scripture that's been playing over and over in my head the last couple of weeks. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world, but lose his own soul? That's like a perfect picture of that. Like we can have everything exterior and on the exterior and it look just right. And we've got a family and the kids and the house and the career and all the things, but inside we're dying. And I think it's in the New Testament. I want to say Paul, but I could be wrong on that. Talks about, he says, I want that you would prosper even as your soul prospers. So the Bible actually talks about prosperity of soul. In other words, being healthy and soul, healthy internally, that your internal world would be healthy. And then naturally everything from the outside will follow from that. And I think it's easy to do and we don't mean to, I mean, and one thing I thought of when you were sharing, I had it all and I thought I had it all and I did have it all, is I think that speaks a lot to your perspective. I mean, there is a perspective of gratitude of it could be way worse. I could not have a house. I could not have a job. I could not have a loving husband. So there's nothing wrong with living in a place of gratitude and seeing what we have as enough or having it all. So I just wanted to say that too. That's not a bad thing. That's a good perspective to have. But then also remembering it's not about, he never asked us to lose our own soul, our own internal world over portraying something on the outside. And how much better is it to gain our soul, and honestly, the soul is our relational piece with the Lord. It's our mind, our will, and our emotion. It's just how we're relational with the Lord and being real and having authentic relationship with him and stuff like that. As far as action steps, my very first thought is get in the word, see what the word says about who you are and the life that he says is possible and how he thinks of you. I think a big starting point is just really getting a hold on who he says that we are, who he made us to be. And he says, through the blood, we're redeemed and sanctified and all the things. And that's just a great starting piece. We're his child.
Yeah. Or you're made for a purpose. I think that's something that so many are, they're just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And their purpose is falling to the wayside, or that we just settle maybe. That was a huge piece for me, that, when you're living life for his purpose that he has created for you, it's like it's game changing. Like you wake up differently, you show up differently, your heart is on fire for, what he's calling you to do. I don't know. I think that's something that so many are trying to figure out.
Yeah.
As well. I mean, that's a whole other rabbit hole that we can go down.
Yeah.
But that's part of transforming, is, just changing your heart to where you do show up and your potential is lived. So
yeah, it's so good.
It is. I don't know. Do you have any other words of wisdom?
I just encourage people. There's no shame. Be real with the Lord. He doesn't turn you away. He's longing for that space with you to be able to be really like real and authentic with him. He's not afraid of your struggles. He's not afraid of your mess. He's not afraid of how you're feeling on the inside or what you're wrestling with. And he would love to get down in there with you in the nitty-gritty and work out some of those things to transform our hearts and to transform our minds so that we really can show up as our authentic self, and know the love of God there. I think sometimes we're afraid to do that, but scripture says that perfect love casts out fear. So if we know, it's really getting to know and experience his perfect love for us, that even in that place, I'm afraid, he doesn't turn you away. And he just wants to love you there so that he can remove that fear, I guess. So that's my, biggest word of advice is just get real with the Lord, and there's no shame and no fear. And
considering the fact that he already knows anyway.
Right.
So yet we're lying to ourselves, or we're trying to pretend that it's not happening or going on, or the way that we feel. So what I took from everything, and it fires me up, is we have to become so self-aware and spend that silent time first with getting to where our heart is.
Yeah.
And then pairing it up with
what he says.
Yeah.
So good.
It is. I can't thank you enough for being here. I love it.
Thank you so much for having me. I love it too.
It's good. Guys, if you're wanting more fire in your day, there is so much for you to do. So you can follow me on Instagram, snag a copy of my book set free on Amazon. Join us in the Fit and Fierce or the Flip the Script one-on-one nutrition and the next retreat. 2023 destinations are dropping here soon, so stay tuned. Or if you're wanting to do your own road trip, you can hop in our Sprinter van that sleeps up to 5 and hit the open road. Be sure to go to JillAllenCoaching.com for all updates and join the Just Breathe Facebook group. We would love to connect with you. Heads up on the next episode. I think Liz is going to be back and we're going to continue our chats. So be sure to pop back in next week. Thanks so much for joining us today, and I pray that we filled your heart with joy. If you could let us know before hopping off here today, that would be incredible. Subscribe, share this episode link on your social media if you felt encouraged or inspired, as we all know someone that can benefit, and I would love it if you would give some feedback and a review as well. Talk with you next time. Be fit, be fierce, be unstoppable. See ya.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.